Hello guys, Dan Hetzer here with another video. Today is going to be a bit different to the usual humorous banter that I usually put out. This is going to be sort of a review of about 1.5 to 2 months work, or if I did it straight, probably about 20 to 25 man hours of work. But basically, my best mate requested that for his birthday that I make him something, and I said to him, "Well, sure. What do you want?" And he said, "An axe, a Viking axe." And I said, "Well, I can't cut circles or curves because I don't have the tools for that." So I basically said to him, "I can make you a sword though." So this is the sword. 4 feet in length, a 3-foot blade, 1 foot, just over a foot from the back of the pommel to the crossguard, and it is based off a 18th century Scottish claymore used by the Scots in the 17th and 18th century, around about the same time that the British were using sabres. Far more practical and far less decorative, but more deadly. So yeah, now basically this entire sword was handcrafted. I have no power tools apart from drills. And of course drills are not gonna cut this 3 feet of blade. So basically the processes I went through was drawing it up on the wood, starting to cut that out. In fact, if I did cutting the blade in one go, well, it took 2 hours to cut one side of the blade. So 4 hours all up just to cut it. Then you take into account of cutting the crossguard, cutting the pommel, and actually cutting the hilt out of the wood. It was a good 6 to 10 hours purely of cutting. Drawing was like less than half an hour. Planing, on the other hand, to actually get it to the correct blade width, or sharpness, kind of, if you wanted to use that terminology, took, if I did it straight, approximately 5 or 6 hours. Well, actually more than that, probably about the same amount of time as the cutting, even though I wasn't actually planing as much as I was cutting. I was still planing a lot of surface. And again, only hand tools. I've since had to return the planes that I was using because I borrowed them from someone. So, yeah. The crossguard was interesting because during the planing process I actually broke off one side of the crossguard, so I decided to cut the other one off and make a new crossguard. So it ended up being like this. Now, obviously, I didn't cut through the crossguard to actually fit the blade through. So what I did was drilled a whole heap of holes in the center, then chiseled out a square. The only thing was, the blade isn't exactly the same width all the way down, and so I was filing it to allow it to actually fit along the blade, but I got to a point where it would have been loose on the blade, or where I've attached it with screws. So what I had to do was wrap a whole heap of sticky tape, well, because it's clear, around the blade to fill up the gap. Then drill the holes, countersink them, and then put the screws in. So yeah, that was that. in the final step, well, second to last step was actually sanding it all back, and getting sort of a nice, smooth finish to it, which in some areas I've definitely done. However, probably the hardest bit was actually the varnish. The thing with the varnish is you gotta have thin layers, as I learned out the hard way, because I basically got a whole heap of, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it on camera, but I've got a whole heap of drippage on the blade and on the pommel as well. However, I was able to remove a large amount of it. The only thing was, that also made the varnish rather patchy. So, there's that. But otherwise, it is very good. The point of balance is about here. Now, you can wield this rather easily. Now, I am no swordsman, and this is probably not the best shape. However, you can still thrust, block, slash, stab, and do all that sort of stuff rather easily. Now, I don't have a scabbard for it, or a sheath if you wanted to be informal, but yeah. So, as I say, I'm actually going to, before I go on to that, I'm going to show you sort of a step-by-step process of some of the build process. Now, I didn't take any photos of when I was actually planing it, but I did take photos of when I was cutting it, at least. So this is effectively the finished result. Sure hope he likes it. 25 man hours. Yippee. What was I going to say? Yeah, pretty much all hand tools. I used a tenon saw, I think that's what they're called, to cut the across the, or with the grain, and God, I used a what are they called, fret saws to cut the shape of the pommel. Chisels to chisel out the hole in the crossguard. The only power tool I actually used was a drill to drill the holes for the crossguard to be attached to. But aside from the actual construction, there was no real power tools involved. So it was pretty much just hand tools. And that's probably why it took me so long, because I've seen Adam Savage, the guy from Mythbusters, I believe, do like a one-day build of a hero sword. And just to cut one side, he got table saw, bit of wood, less than 30 seconds, and he had done that cut. And I'm standing there for about 2.5 hours with sore hands, sore arms, and it's just like, bugger, I wish I had a table saw. But yeah, I'm probably going into too much detail now. And funnily enough, hardly any bloody planning involved. Much to the disappointment of pretty much all the engineers or draftsmen. Yes. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. And this is, as I say, a very different one, because this is kind of a review of my own work, which took about 25 hours to make. And I'm pretty proud of it. So I'm going to be dropping it off at my mate's tonight. So this will be the last you see of it, if I ever decided to do a video on it again. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe because all the help is really appreciated. I'll catch you all next time.